El Salvador es entre muy países. El Salvador is west of Honduras. El Salvador is also east of Guatemala. It is north of the North Pacific Ocean. It is in Central America, on the west side of it, south of Belize, and there are many rivers on the inside of this country. La capital es San Salvador. This is Spanish for Holy Savior. It is the largest city in El Salvador and is surrounded by volcanoes. The residents are named Capitalinos. It is the second largest metropolitan Central American city after Guatemala City. El Salvador es la casa de muchas personas. El Salvador has a population of 6.1 million. El Salvador is also the size of Massachusetts. Mestizo, 90%, Indigenous, 1%, Caucasian, 9%, and their nationality is Salvadoran. Las personas de El Salvador son Christians. 57% of the population are Roman Catholics. There are also significant and growing numbers of Protestant groups. This is based on a 2003 estimate. El gobierno de El Salvador es una república. Their constitution was signed on December 20th, 1983. On September 5th, 1822, and just like the USA, El Salvador has executive, judicial, legislative branches of government. La idioma de El Salvador es español. Conquerors spoke Spanish, and as El Salvador eventually turned into a different dialect of Spanish. El Salvador tener muy puntos de referencia. There are 20,742 square kilometers in El Salvador, and it is about the size of Massachusetts. Mountains separate the country into three distinct regions: southern coastal belt, central valleys and plateaus, and northern mountains. El dinero de El Salvador es la US dollar. The GDP 2010 official exchange rate CIA World Factbook is 21.7 billion for every 21.2 billion. And the GDP annual real growth rate is 1.4%. Los primeros habitantes de El Salvador fueron la Pipil Indians. The Pipil were descendants of the Aztecs. The first Salvadoran territory visited by Spaniards was Minguera Island, located on the Gulf of Fonseca. Los primeros exploradores fueron los españoles. In 1520, the indigenous population of the territory had been reduced by 80% due to the smallpox epidemic. The Spanish Admiral Andres Niño had led an expedition to Central America and disembarked on Minera Island, which he named Petronia. El clima de El Salvador es muy salvaje. El Salvador has a tropical climate with pronounced wet and dry seasons. Temperatures may vary primarily, with elevation shown to little seasonal change. El Salvador es propenso para terremotos. El Salvador lies along the Pacific Ring of Fire and is thus subject to significant tectonic activity. In the summer of 2001, a severe drought destroyed 8% of the country's crops, causing famine in the countryside. El Salvador tiene una población de muchos pájaros tropicales. The birds hawksbill and the olive ridley are endangered, along with the green sea turtle. El Salvador's national bird is the tortoise, a small bird that is green-orange and shaped like a swallow. The tortoise has a white stripe on top of its head. El Salvador tiene el pequeño tasa de natalidad en Central America. They also have the highest death rate in Central America. There are about 37 physicians per 25,000 people, and according to the most recent United Nations survey, life expectancy for men was 68 years. El Salvador es muy peligroso. In the past years, El Salvador has experienced high crime rates, including gang-related crimes and juvenile delinquency. Some people blame the high crime rates on the high deportation rates from the U.S. Today, El Salvador has some of the highest murder rates in Latin America. El turismo de El Salvador es muy bueno. The only airport servicing international flights in the country is Comalapa International. El Salvador's tourism industry has been growing dynamically over recent years as the Salvadoran government focuses on developing the sector. Hay muchos personales famosos de El Salvador. Alison Ireta was the fourth-place finalist from American Idol. She was born in America from Salvadoran parents. Carlos Hernandez is the world's lightweight boxing champion. He was born in El Salvador. El Salvador tiene muy bueno cocina. One of El Salvador's notable dishes is the pupusa. Pupusas are handmade corn tortillas stuffed with one or more of the following: cheese, chicharr, or refried beans. Two other typical Salvadoran dishes are yuca frita and panes relleno. El sistema de educación pública en El Salvador es una falta grave de recursos. Class sizes in public schools can reach 50 children, so Salvadorans who can afford the cost often choose to send their children to private schools. Education in El Salvador is free through high school. After 9 years of basic education, students have the option of a 2-year high school or 3-year high school.